Hello, my name is Brant Hunt, and my channel is Discerning What is True, that is on YouTube. And also, I'm going to be sharing this information on Facebook and also on Odyssey. My title tonight will be actually reading from a particular book. I've had a couple of people ask me to share from Michael J. Lincoln's book here. It's All in the Family. And Michael J. Lincoln was a PhD. He has a PhD. This is in depth, what is called in depth exploration of life scripts. I sometimes wonder if I understand this correctly from what he says and from others, we somehow have a script, our life script is before us, and we choose that before we enter, that is, reincarnate here. I don't know if I agree with that or not. That's something debatable in my mind. But I had I think two people wanted, or maybe three people asked yesterday for me to share. They didn't actually share. I mean, they didn't ask me, but they basically had some interest in it. So this is a particular little last part of the book here. Um, And there are what he calls these are certain scripts. And there are what he calls the whim scripts, the crutch scripts, I should say, the back of the book here. These are all pertaining into certain types. Um, then there's the KAOH, the KO scripts, that is the Keystone Kid, the Yuck Artist, Will of the Wisp, Goody Two Shoes, One and Only Hair, that is a Tycoon, Dopey, and Family Dog. So I'm going to be reading from this particular one called the Yuck, Y-U-K Artist. And he gives a little bit more analysis, like a news analysis, a clarifier. Willing to risk rejection to tell it like it is. So here we go. The Yuck Artist. Meet Quasimodo, the hunchback of Notre Dame, the Yuck Artist, who is a past master of alleviating a eek reaction wherever they go. They are the original funny looking kid and weirdo who has a absolutely knack for revolting everyone they encounter. And to make matters worse, they seem to be programmed to do the Humpty Dumpty thing of deflecting all efforts by all the king's horses and all the king's men to put them back together again. The peculiar and paradoxical thing about them, though, is that underneath all the yuck stuff is a huge heart, a committed contributor and or a wise wizard. They are profoundly caring and concerned and contributory, but in a manner that is guaranteed to not be noticed or received due to all their surface manifestations of egregious eccentricity. How did they get it? How did they get this way? He asks. This is a Keystone Kid in disguise, by which is meant that they, in effect, serve as the family hoist. That is the silver thing that holds the car up to such a fundamental needed degree that the family unconsciously built in a fail-safe process whereby they guaranteed that the individual would never grow away by making them so totally unacceptable to the outside world that no one would ever allow them to be around. The Yuck Artist was trained at the 16 times a second interaction level to develop a disguise as a monster who is dismaying, discombobulating, and disguising and distrust-inducing. They become absolutely masterful at rejection, courting with pseudo-obnoxiousness, and systematic success avoidance as they put their worst foot forward always. And the net effect is that they are continuously socially and often pragmatically unsuccessful with their self-fulfilling prophecy. That is a coffin nail environmental impact system. Unfortunately for all involved, the family usually reacts to their own creation with just as much rejection as anyone else does. Make matters worse, this also usually doesn't result in the individual staying around the old homestead either. Often because the families themselves throw them out in a Frankenstein reaction, like, for example, my God, what have we created? Followed by a Pontius Pilate response, you take him, dash her, we can't handle him, dash her. Furthermore, another unconscious component to the whole program is that they are supposed to self-destruct after the parents are through with them, hence the Quasimodo outcome tendency, which is to give torn apart about an angry mob. So they end up their own worst enemy, and all for naught. And he's always giving these type of things. So it's just he's a different type of teacher here. You have to understand that he has all these certain words at interplay here. So it's just interesting how he does this. Where are they coming from? Is a question. Yah, the Yah that is again the Yuck artist is, as might be expected, super self paranoid, and their primary experience is one of fear and guilt. They are fearful out of the massive confidence anxiety, and also out of a personal retribution paranoia, yum out reaction from them to positive things happening to them. They don't really trust anything or anyone, least of all themselves. At the same time, they're profoundly guilty for all their failures and for their gross out artist facade behaviors. They're full of self-loathing and do things like get overweight to feed their self-hatred script. They feel like they are demonically possessed at times when they really let fly with whopper revulsion litigation behaviors. And to cap it all off, they are usually quite resistant to intervention because they feel that they deserve the very worst. Yet at the same time, they are profoundly concerned with the welfare of everyone around them, and they feel personally responsible and accountable for making things all better. They have a highly developed compassion and commitment, and they care deeply about everyone they know and know of. Yet, because of the family simultaneously intense reliance upon them and their punishment of them for not doing it well enough, they are deeply self-destructing. I'm sorry, not self-destructing, self-destructing, distrusting, and self-disguise about how they are. Example, that is, not example, but in quotations, failing in their responsibilities. Meanwhile, to keep on going, they often turn to a super self-sustaining and fatalistic, convenience-bound lifestyle and it's all I've got going for me orientation, along with a profound feeling that they are in effect waiting for rigid mortis in a all lost anyway feeling. They feel very deeply that success is not for them and that efforts to improve their situation are gross violations of the moral code or moral order, I should say. They settle for things like sloppiness and ignoring appearance as a self-sustaining support system based on mimicking requirements of them. And they get into mad scientist things like stamp collecting, electronics, computers as substitute of self-sustenance and self-reassurance for all the incompetence and rejection they experience. They are, needless to say, thoroughly alone and alien. So how do they function? They function, that is, the Yuck artists live up to their name, and they are experimentally implement to have around a lot of the time. They do indeed put their worst foot forward all the time. And they elicit a great deal of validation of how awful they are, first from their family, then from the world at large. Unlike the claim to fame, they don't bag peaks. They collect sewers. They are also professional self scapegoats and expulsion elicitors. When someone relevant tries to relate to them positively, it tends to bring out the very worst in them. And when a fatal attraction, that is, a nemesis figure, approaches them, they go into a yuck amuck reaction as they play out in spades the original programming in reaction to the reappearance of a stand in for the original cast. They also go into what I call mega yuck when faced with rejection, as if activities activates all their self hatred and heavily injunction functions cues. It is also confirms their worst expectations, and they go into a frenzy of self-destruct, followed by an exaggeration of their self-sustained stuff. There's another aspect of their rejection eliciting patterns, however, and that is that there um, are times when in reappearance it's not a part of the original scripted pattern. For instance, one of the functions of the Quasimodo behavior was to be able to drive away the smothering, hovering mother from much needed space, and they sometimes utilize it the same way now. And then there are times when they appear defensive with what seems to be over justification of their ideas or perceptions, but it's just hard for them to understand that's what's obvious to them because they're enforced sidelines watching life history is not readily apparent to others. Then there and then there's are times when they appear defensive with what seems to be over justification of their ideas or perceptions, but it's just hard for them to understand that what's obvious to them because they're enforced sidelines watching life's history is not readily apparent to others. Then there is also the other side of the coin of their functioning. For one thing, they are usually not yucky with their intimates most of the time. It is only a public blowaway pattern for the most part. And then there is the matter of their profound service and support process done in a super unsung hero or heroine manner. They make every move count due to their double motivation of commitment and guilt atonement. They are a need spotter par excellence, and they are super attuned to areas and phenomenon that others are super afraid of. Hence, they point out the emperor's new clothes and other things that others seek not to see. But in general, all that people usually see and react to the yuck artists is their rejection dash courting facade and lifestyle, and they react vehemently to the yuck artist's great dismay. So how can they be helped? Is a question he asks. Intervention for the yuck artist involves yuck busting, caring confrontation, and loving feedback, as well as insight induction and realistic recognition of their great contributions and loving commitment in the context of relationship therapy. They need a particular large dose of guilt alleviation due to their effects of their systematic narcissism and is a ecological impact. They need systematic desensitization around their guilt and fear with regard to success experience. It has to be a small step success ladder training program to prevent their blowing the whole process away in a frenzy of self-hatred or confident, anxious panic. In addition, you have to do a careful study of how they alienate, determine which parent was primarily responsible for inducing and enforcing it, and then pointing out that they are doing it to please Godzilla again. Then ask them what they are seeking to accomplish in the way of positive contributions and achievements with this particular piece of yuck. Interesting as the rewards in life from other spheres increase as a function of the success of an intervention program, they tend to become more conventional in their dress and behavior, even in their areas where there has been no focused work. This is because once they are freed from their behavior prison sentence, they can then come forward with their true identity and destiny. Last part here is, what is their purpose? Because of their many years as an observer of the human condition and process, the ex-yuck artist is deeply perceptive. They also needed such sensitivity to be able to calibrate exactly how much yuck to put out to avoid causing harm and to know what buttons not to push. As a result, they are excellent interpreters of what is going down anywhere they look. They are also long ago inured to negative reaction from others, and so they have the ability to risk rejection to tell it like it is. This makes them a superb news analyst in terms of knowing and saying what is really going on and what the implications and ramifications of it are. All are. They're kind of a cosmic clarifier, in other words. So that was doing this because I bought this book probably about a year and a half ago. I read parts of it, but not much of it, all of it. And it's a psychological book. It deals with what you call your family, and it means simply is what you dealt with in your family, their issues. You see, your parents and your siblings. He has written some books here, and I'll just tell you who these books are, what they are, I should say. And here we go. There are books on assessment approaches, that is, addictions and cravings, their psychological meanings. Allergies and aversions, their psychological meanings. Animals, their psychic-symbolic meaning, a Shagman's handbook, that is. Clothes, consciousness. Household hotspots, their psycho-symbolic and psycho-utilitarian meaning. Messages from the body, their psychological meaning, which is probably his major book. My car, myself. Nonverbal messages, that is body language. Problematic patterns, that is behavior, psychological and psychiatric problems, their emotional meaning. What was that all about? And then the top 50 messages from the body. And then he has a book on consciousness shift, that is what's happening to me. He has a book on children's needs, parent, their soul, comprehensive approach to parenting. And then a book on heart-centered face reading. What's in a face? The dictionary for heart-centered face reading. In other words, you'll be able to read people's face and what has happened to them. That's what I'm gathering, or what has happened to you. Then he has a few books here also on the personality patterns and life scripts. A fancy thing happened on the way to my life. It's all in the family, which is what I'm reading. And then there's another one, Our Personal Challenges, that is problematic patterns in these time, which is another book I have. And books on relationships. This one's called Where the Hell Art Thou, Romeo? And that's the books he's written. So you'll look at these books here. You're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, and 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. He's written 19 books. Unfortunately, he's no longer alive. He passed away. So again, this is what I'm sharing from you is this particular book is called It's All in the Family. And it is called An In-Depth Exploration of Life Scripts. And I'll read the back part here. An in-depth exploration of the life scripts that result from the three fundamental family systems pathologies that are common today. These life scripts are the foundation of our of our personalities, along with the development arrests or flat lines that they precipitate. The book starts with a discussion of the situation of the isolated nuclear family that has caused the three family system pathologies, as well as an overview of those family patterns. Then it moves on to detailed descriptions of the formation, functioning, dynamics, healing, needs, and cosmic purpose of each of the 32 life scripts found during the author's 35 years of clinical practice. Again, this is Michael J. Lincoln. He earned a PhD in clinical psychology at the University of Oregon. He did change his name later on in his life. Dr. Lincoln had worked as an instructor, a research assistant, a mental hospitals, a counseling center, a mental health clinic, and an institution for the mental challenge. As the clinical director, one of the first behavior modifications, that is treatment programs for emotional disturbed children. He pioneered the successful healing of deep emotional wounds in both children and their families through the integration of behavioral and psychoanalytical approaches. He went on to serve in the role of several other innovative treatment programs for children and adolescents over a 30-year span. And if you want to find out a little bit more, his website here is www.talkinghearts.net. Okay. So again, this was someone had shared an interest in this and wanted me to share. That was yesterday, and I wanted to just get back with it. This is just they're all. He's basically looking at all. No one's perfect, folks. No one is. It's amazing what he's done. And what he does is he has a jargon, so to speak, to deal with what we call different issues in different people's lives. So this was, like I said, one of those. So there's other ones. I'll give you one other thing here. I'll read something else. And there's an introduction. There's a life scripts here. Then the components of life scripts, and then there's what he calls some life scripts precipitations, script busting procedures or processes. What is the larger purpose of the scripts? Family types, the scripts, and then he goes into these particular scripts, and he calls these scripts, and he has them here. He calls the clutch scripts, which is the lone Marauder, that is someone who's always alone. The sneaky sadist, the black sheep, the model child, the fog bound, the peck. Let's see, that's right. The peck's bad boy and girl, the smiling jack, the egghead, the injustice hound, the claim to fame, the hobby horse, the family emerald. And then he goes into what they call the WIMP, WHIM, what's in it for me? That's what it stands for, WIMP. What's in it for me script. And this will be the perennial child, the urban hermit, the district attorney pattern, the apple tree, the queen of hearts, the jewel American princess, the red riding hood, the desperado, the rebellious child, the center stage, the ugly duckling, the baby bird, the mom addict, the goody getter, and then you have the keep them around the old homestead script, which would be kind of a kids that stay around with their parents longer than normal. That would be the Kidstone Kid, the Yuck Artist, the Will of the Wisp, the Goody Two Shoes, the one and only Heir, the HEIR, Dopey, the Family Dog, and that's it. So I hope that you may look into this. Again, like I said, it's Talking Hearts website, and you can look into that also. And I think they still have a sale to the end of the year. Some of these books are on sale, I think. Don't hold me to that. But again, like I said, I'm doing this because someone else wanted me to share this. This kind of gives you it kind of wets your feet in some ways to find out who you are and your family background and why you do certain things the way you do them, you see. So, all right. Thank you for being here, and I appreciate your time. And I hope this is rewarding to you in a way that would help you to see more of who you are and what you're about. Thank you. Take care.